Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Office Bloke Daz.
I'm Office Bloke Mike.
Two of us here today.
Yeah.
Bit of a car one, Mike. For you, I know you're a car enthusiast as well.
Like my cars.
Yeah,
definitely.
This is every car that forced the government to change the rules.
Let's go. Okay, wonderful.
Number 6, Porsche 959. Did you know Bill Gates once picked a fight with the entire U.S. government over a car? The car in question...
Do you know this story?
I don't know. No, I'm not aware of this one.
Yeah, I think he brought it in, I want to say maybe brought it through Mexico or the border, somewhere like that. I don't know if it came through Mexico. It might not, but it might have been brought in from overseas, from Germany maybe. It's sat at the, in customs.
Yeah, border crossing sort of thing.
And I think he left it there for many, many years in storage.
Yeah.
And as soon as the rules changed, pulled it out and boom, straight into the country. Somewhat along them lines.
Right, okay.
Don't know if that's what they're alluding to here, but
Yeah.
let's see.
was the Porsche 959, a late 80s supercar so far ahead of its time that America basically said, nope, too advanced for us. Twin turbos, all-wheel drive, computer-controlled suspension. This thing was decades ahead of its time. Naturally, Gates wanted one, but when his 959 landed on American soil, Customs immediately impounded it. The Department of Transportation wouldn't allow it on U.S. roads because it failed to meet crash and emission standards. And the story that always gets told is this: the DOT demanded 4 complete cars for crash testing, but Porsche refused. Why? Because Porsche was basically going broke building it. Each 959 was priced at $225,000 in 1987, but Porsche was losing a significant amount of money building each car, estimated to be over $400,000 US. Porsche knew that destroying 4 of the 959s would have been financial suicide, and without those tests, the US banned the car outright. That meant no American could legally drive a 959 until the 25-year import rule kicked in, which wouldn't be until 2012. But Gates had no other option but to wait. For 13 years, his 959 sat locked away in a Seattle storage facility while he paid $28 a day plus a $500 annual bond just to keep it stateside. By the end, he had burned through over $133,000 without ever turning the key. At first, it seemed like all he could do was wait, but then came a turning point. Gates teamed up with retired car racer and dealer Bruce Canepa and attorney Warren Dean to push for a solution. Together, they took the fight to the EPA, NHTSA, and even major automakers, crafting a compromise that could change the rules for good. The idea was straightforward. If a car was rare out of production and built in very limited numbers, fewer than 500, it could be imported, as long as it passed EPA emissions and was driven less than 2,500 miles per year. At first, the plan hit dead ends, but then came the breakthrough. In 1998, the proposal was quietly attached to a larger Senate transportation bill. When President Clinton signed it into law, things finally began to move. By 2000, the Department of Transportation had officially established what we now know as the show or display rule. Thanks to Gates, the 959 finally got its American passport, and every collector since has benefited from the loophole. Number 5, Chevrolet Corvair. In the early 1960s, America loved cars, but not safety. Fatal crashes kept rising, yet automakers shrugged it off, blaming the driver, the nut behind the wheel. Safety wasn't a priority because no law required it. Seatbelts were optional, and crash tests? Pure science fiction. And then came the car that turned the blind spot into a bullseye, the Chevrolet Corvair. Launched as the 1960 model year, the Corvair was Chevy's moonshot. A rear-engined, air-cooled compact that looked more European than American, it was unlike anything the brand had ever built. So much so that Chevy sold nearly 250,000 of them in the first year alone. America's biggest automaker was proving it could innovate, but hidden under its sleek looks was a problem waiting to make headlines: the swing axle rear suspension. In everyday driving, it was fine, but push it hard in an emergency maneuver, and it could snap, sending the car spinning, or worse, rolling over. For most buyers, it wasn't a death sentence, but it wasn't the kind of gamble people expected from Chevrolet either. And that's when a young lawyer named Ralph Nader smelled blood in the water. In 1965, he dropped a grenade into the auto industry with his book Unsafe at Any Speed. Page after page, he hammered the Corvair, branding it a one-car accident. Suddenly, this quirky compact car wasn't just an experiment. It was a rolling death trap and public enemy number 1. Now, what do you think GM's response should have been? Well, instead of putting out the fire, they poured gasoline on it. Instead of addressing the issue, they hired investigators to tail Nader, digging for dirt. But the smear attempt exploded in their faces, transforming Nader into a folk hero and his book into a bestseller. The backlash was too loud to ignore, and the story had grown too big for Detroit to contain. The public demanded answers, and Washington listened. In 1966, President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the National Traffic and Motor Vehicle Safety Act, the first law that gave the federal government real power to regulate car safety. Out of it came the National Highway Safety Bureau, the same agency we now know as NHTSA. Number 4, Ford Pinto. This is the car that proved
Yeah, that Chevy Corvair.
Yeah.
It's a mint-looking car for me.
Yeah.
It just looks a little bit unbalanced, doesn't it?
It looks very, very
You
odd.
see why it roll.
Yeah,
you
with
know.
a big engine at the back and like a large trunk at the front sort of thing.
Well, Porsche, that's what Porsche do, don't they?
Yeah.
But
I suppose so, but...
Yeah, it's for me, it was a really tasty looking car.
Yeah.
But I think the rear engine sort of like obviously took the balancing sort of side of it.
Big time, yeah.
Especially it was a bit long, wasn't it, at the back?
It was, yeah.
A little bit too
that
oversized.
one bit when it rolled, I mean, it didn't even look like it was going that fast, really.
No,
not
didn't,
like
did it?
overly
Yeah.
fast, no.
Yeah.
But it looks pretty unstable.
It's a weird looking car as well, this Pinto,
This
isn't it?
is
Horrifying truth. Sometimes it's cheaper for a corporation to let you burn alive than to fix the problem. Meet the Ford Pinto, America's most infamous rolling fire hazard. Back in the early 1970s, Ford was desperate. The gas crisis was looming. Japanese imports like the Toyota Corolla were eating their lunch, and executives wanted a...
Do you know what I found out the other day about Ford?
Yeah.
Do you know the Model T Ford?
Yep.
Right, first car, right? Was it the first mass production car?
I think probably one of the first mass productions,
yeah,
wasn't it? I
right.
think.
And you know where it was from, right?
Yeah.
Where?
US.
Yeah, Detroit.
Oh, right. Detroit.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. Do you know where the first overseas factory was? The mass production. I think it came out in something like 1903, right?
Yeah.
The Model T. It might be wrong on the dates here, so I don't want anyone to go, it was 1904. Not bad. It was about early 1900s.
Roundabout.
Right? But then the first overseas one was about 1911 or 1913,
Yeah.
1908.
Right.
Between 1908 and 1913 area.
Right.
Sort of thing. You know where it was?
I'm going to guess because it's the only Ford plant I know. Was it Halewood?
No.
No.
Trafford Park.
Oh, really?
Manchester. Yeah.
Ah.
I
Oh,
only
never
found
knew
out the
that.
other day. And every year they do a Model T rally round Trafford
Yeah.
Park.
No, I didn't know.
And I've
that.
never seen it, never even heard of it.
Oh, well, I live down the road. I've never.
It's literally about 3 miles from here, isn't it? Hey?
It's not far.
Give or take.
Yeah. Wow.
Mad that, right?
Yeah. I have to count for that.
subcompact car fast. Normally, developing a car took around 43 months. The Pinto, it was rammed through in just 25. Corners were cut, checks were skipped, and somewhere in the chaos, a deadly flaw slipped through the cracks. And that flaw couldn't have been in a worse place. The fuel tank, just inches from the rear bumper, completely unprotected. It was a time bomb waiting for impact. At crash speeds as low as 20 miles per hour, the tank could rupture like a shaken soda can, spraying fuel everywhere. One spark, and the Pinto transformed from commuter car to crematorium. And this is where the story shifts from bad engineering to corporate horror movie. The most unbelievable part? Ford knew. Internal crash tests had already revealed the danger. Engineers suggested fixes, a plastic shield, stronger frame rails, even relocating the tank. And the cost? About $11 a car. But the executives didn't sign off. Instead, they pulled up the spreadsheets. In what's now known as the Pinto memo, Ford's bean counters literally priced out human life. A death? $200,000. A serious burn injury? $67,000. A totaled car? $700. They crunched the numbers and decided lawsuits. An estimated $49.5 million were cheaper than spending $137 million on fixes. For years, Pinto crashes kept happening. Victims were burned alive, survivors were left disfigured, families dragged Ford into court. But on paper, the Pinto still technically met federal safety standards. Under the law at the time, Ford wasn't breaking any rules. That's when the government decided to play hardball. NHTSA engineers set up a new crash test, one that mimicked real life, not the loopholes. They slammed a gas-filled Pinto with a bullet car at 35 miles per hour, headlights blazing to guarantee ignition. The result? A Hollywood-style fireball. Finally, Ford had nowhere to hide. In 1978, under mounting pressure, they recalled 1.5 million Pintos, the largest recall in Ford's history at the time. The scandal didn't just scar Ford, it rewrote the rulebook. Crash tests became tougher, oversight got sharper, and the Pinto memo became a business school horror story. Before we reveal the final three, make sure to leave a like and share your thoughts on the biggest car scandal we've mentioned so far. Number 3, Ford Explorer. Picture this. It's the late 1990s, and America is obsessed with SUVs. Bigger, taller, tougher. That's what everyone wanted. Families ditched their sedans for Explorers, Blazers, and Grand Cherokees. But there was one problem that wasn't getting too much highlighted. These things had the balance of a toddler on a sugar rush. Statistically, SUVs were far more likely to roll over. And between 1991 and 2000, fatal crashes involving them spiked by 37%.
Ooh, wow,
It's
that's big.
Gainer had an Expedition, which is the one up from the Explorer. It's like a bigger Explorer. But when you buy like a Land Rover, they take you on a I don't know if you had this. When you get your Land Rover, they take you on a course.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
they tip you on it's almost on its side, and it still doesn't roll.
Yeah.
So it's bizarre. It's
think
almost
it's
like magnetic to the road.
Yeah, I think they're a lot different these days with the suspension and traction control and things like that, aren't they? So
But he's only
a lot
talking
more
late
stable,
90s.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm a bit surprised by. I must admit.
Yeah.
Suddenly, America's favorite family haulers were starting to look more like family hazards, and when cars start flipping like pancakes, you know something has to change. That rising danger set the stage for one of the most important safety innovations in modern cars, electronic stability control, or ESC. At its core, ESC is like having a secret co-driver who knows when you're about to lose control. Using sensors, it compares where the steering wheel says you want to go with where the car is actually headed. If the two don't match, say in a skid or an evasive swerve, it quietly applies brakes to individual wheels and trims engine power to keep everything lined up. You don't hear it, you don't feel it, but you also don't end up upside down in a ditch. In fact, Mercedes-Benz was the first to put ESC into production cars in 1995, but this German automaker wasn't the reason governments made it mandatory. That honor belongs to a very different machine, the Ford Explorer. The Explorer was America's sweetheart SUV until it became infamous for doing somersaults at highway speeds. The turning point was the Firestone tire scandal of 2000, when blowouts on underinflated tires caused Explorers to roll over in horrifying numbers. Ford blamed Firestone, Firestone blamed Ford, but as investigators dug deeper, it became clear the Explorer's design, tall body, narrow stance, soft suspension, was just as guilty. In fact, federal stats show that 1 in every 2,700 Explorers built in those years rolled over and killed someone. So in 2007, NHTSA dropped the hammer. Every new light vehicle sold in America had to come with electronic stability control by 2012. No exceptions. And here's the payoff. ESC worked. Studies showed it cut single vehicle crashes by a third and slashed fatal SUV rollovers by more than half. In other
I've seen, it's
what great piece of kit that is, isn't it?
But that the Explorer, I've seen a few of them over here appearing. So I don't know if you've brought manufacturing over here, or not manufacturing, but brought the cars over here as a right-hand drive, because I've seen a few of them popping up. That'd go down really well over here, the Ford Explorer.
Oh, I think so.
It'd be probably one of the hot-selling cars, I reckon. Yeah. If that was on mass sale over here, they'd knock them
look
out.
Pretty good, don't they? But you just don't see any about, do you?
You don't
really
right.
at all.
Yeah,
but it looks a nice car though.
But even like when you look at all the Ford range, you know, the only really cars you see over here, as far as Ford goes, see a lot of Focus.
Yeah, they're more like your family saloons, really, aren't they? You see Fiestas, the Ford
Puma.
Focus.
Puma, you see quite a bit now as well. And they're all sort of like similar, but now the Ranger sort of like went through a spell of like everyone had a Ranger sort of thing, and then I think it was a tax. I think it was some kind of tax write-off. I
think it was. I think it was classed as like a business car or commercial vehicle, so he didn't pay any tax in it. So that. So a lot of people were getting them as like a family car.
And then they changed the rules straight after.
Of course, they
started selling it. They're like, "Oh, we can't have that."
It's like that and everything. It's like the electric ones now. At first, you get tax breaks. Now you're going to get taxed to high heaven on it.
So that Explorer would do really well over here, I think.
I think so, yeah.
In other words, the Explorer's embarrassing tumble ended up forcing the entire auto industry to stand tall. Number 2, Volkswagen. Type 2 pickup. Most government crackdowns on cars happen because of safety, emissions, or corporate scandal. But the Volkswagen Type 2 pickup, it was wiped out of America by chickens. Yes, this humble bird single-handedly triggered one of the longest-lasting trade wars in automotive history. In the early 1960s, America was drowning in chicken. Farmers were producing record numbers of birds, and while Americans were happily chewing through plenty of them, there was still a mountain of surplus. The solution? Ship the extras overseas. And at first it seemed like a win-win. Europe, still ramping up mass farming, suddenly had cheap US chicken pouring into its markets. But what felt like a blessing to consumers was a nightmare for local farmers. Their livelihoods were undercut, and governments in places like France and West Germany weren't having it. They retaliated with tariffs on American chicken. That should have been chickens pecking at tariffs. Case closed. Instead, the fight jumped species. Washington wanted payback. President Lyndon B. Johnson needed a pressure point. Detroit and the United Auto Workers saw their moment. If Europe gets slapped, why not build a wall around American pickups too? Enter the Volkswagen Type 2 pickup, the wrong vehicle at the wrong time. Think microbus trimmed into a flat nose work mule, cheap to run, easy to park.
I've never seen one of them before.
Me neither. Loved it. Couriers loved it. Mom and pop shops loved it. And that love spooked Ford and Chevy. If Main Street fell for clever little imports, who's buying F-100s and C-10s? The automakers whispered in Johnson's ear, "Hey, anyone with vision tariffs over chicken? Why not stick it to those weird Volkswagen trucks too?" And just like that, the chicken tax was born in 1964, a 25% tariff on imported light trucks. Officially about.
I seem to think we've seen that on something else, chicken tax.
It sort of rings a bell.
It does ring a bell with me a little bit.
Yeah, they used it to put on other things as well.
Yeah. But that's when he says who would, they're up against the Chevy and the Ford pickup trucks. Them Ford and Chevy pickup trucks are miles better than that Volkswagen. Volkswagen looks hideous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Looks like a telecom truck. It's like pull up and go, I'm here from the telecom company to come and install your lines.
The only ones I've seen like that before are exactly the same, but the whole way along, like camper vans.
Camper vans, they were hot ticket.
Yeah, but that is like a camper van basically with the back of it as a pickup in it instead. But I've never actually even seen
me
one of
neither,
them.
but it's horrible.
It's hideous.
Chickens, secretly about killing the Type 2, and it worked with sniper-like precision. Before the tariff, the Type 2 pickup was carving out a nice little niche. After, it was flatlined. Fewer than 5,000 made it into the US between 1964 and 1967. Then, nothing. Volkswagen's commercial trucks and buses disappeared from the US market entirely. Make no mistake, this wasn't collateral damage. This was a hit job. The Type 2 was too clever, too different, too much of a threat to the Detroit playbook. So rather than compete, the big three simply had the government assassinated. Number 1, Dieselgate scandal. For decades, diesel cars had a terrible reputation in the US. Loud, smelly, and dirty. They were seen as something Europeans tolerated, but Americans avoided. But Volkswagen wanted to change that. So in the 2000s, they rolled out a bold promise: clean diesel by running popular Super Bowl commercials. We're talking about commercials that showed happy families, wide open roads, and plenty of smug looks at the gas pump. Cars like the Volkswagen Jetta, Golf, and Passat were marketed as fuel efficient, fun to drive, and eco-friendly enough to rival electric hybrids like the Toyota Prius. VW had cracked the code, or so it seemed, and for a while people believed it. Reviewers praised them, environmentalists applauded them, and VW's sales numbers soared. But every too-good-to-be-true story eventually hits a snag, and this one unraveled in 2015. That's when a small environmental research group stumbled on something strange. They were testing VW diesels on the road and noticed the numbers didn't add up. These green machines weren't just failing emission standards. They were blowing past them like an 18-wheeler in the fast lane. Nitrogen oxide emissions, the stuff that causes smog and asthma, were up to 40 times higher than the legal limit. That wasn't just a little white lie, that was a full-blown deception. So how did VW pull this off? Well, with a trick straight out of a spy movie. Buried deep in the car's software was what regulators later called a defeat device. Basically, the car could tell when it was hooked up to an emissions test. During the test, it behaved like a saint, running all the controls that kept emissions low. But the second it hit real roads, the controls switched off, the engine ran hotter, and the car belched out pollution like a 1970s factory. In other words, 11 million diesel cars worldwide were living a double life. And when this groundbreaking news broke, it was like someone had caught the honor student cheating on every single exam. Regulators went into overdrive. The Environmental Protection Agency and Department of Justice filed lawsuits, and suddenly Volkswagen was facing not just fines, but a full-blown criminal case. By 2017, Volkswagen had pleaded guilty to 3 felony counts: conspiracy to defraud the United States and violate the Clean Air Act, obstruction of justice, and importation of merchandise by means of false statements. The automaker had to pay about $15 billion in the US alone to clean up the mess, including buybacks, lease terminations, and compensation for environmental harm. And by 2020, the automaker had paid $33.3 billion in fines, penalties, financial settlements, and buyback costs. The Dieselgate scandal didn't just destroy Volkswagen's reputation, it also buried diesel's future in America. What was once promoted as the perfect bridge between gas and electric suddenly became a dirty word. We hope you enjoyed this video. Here's another.
I don't think I've ever had a diesel car.
Really?
No.
Oh.
Can't think. I don't think I've ever had one.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it's yours diesel.
It is. Yeah.
Do you find does it lose power because it's diesel, or is it?
It depends. I mean, these days they're so much better than they used to be. Like 30 years ago, diesel cars were supposed to be dirty and in fact really slow, but these days they're pretty much on the par with petrol, really. Yeah. But maybe not quite as quiet, but obviously a lot cleaner than they used to be.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But I remember the VW one. That was everywhere. That was worldwide, wasn't it?
There was a few companies that got done, weren't they? It wasn't just VW. I'm pretty sure Saab were involved when they were still going.
That's right.
I want to say there was another car company as well.
That's a huge thing because someone's actually thought about that and put that in place, haven't they?
Smart, to be fair. But unless it's not that smart because they got caught.
Exactly, yeah.
But if they didn't get caught, I don't know.
I know. Yeah.
What does it lead on to?
That's customs absolutely billions there, wasn't it?
33 billion.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I wonder if that's just in the US though, or if that's worldwide.
I guess it's worldwide.
Because it literally was worldwide, wasn't it?
Everywhere, wasn't it?
Yeah, they didn't just sort of like lower it in the US, did they? So
no.
Yeah,
so there's all them like claim companies over here, so like pushing it, weren't they?
Yeah.
If you hunt a VW,
that's right.
Years, give us a call and we'll get you some money. Yeah.
But big business.
Interesting, though, right?
But yeah, very.
It's
good,
interesting that Gates had that 959 on the.
I know, kept hold of it and everything. Yeah. So, so I'm guessing they've done it so they can take them to shows and things like that, like classic car type of thing. That's why they've eased it, isn't it? With the 2,500 miles.
How many was it? But 500, only under 500 made.
I think it was. If there's under 500, and
so
then
they must be going for some serious cash now. Then I bet.
Oh, I bet they will, especially one like that. I bet it's barely been used. It'd be absolutely like brand new still, won't it? So, that'll be worth a few bob. Not that he needs it, Bill, of course, but
You never know. You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers.